Thanks for your company as always. See you next time on The Chase Australia.
Easing the lockdown at midnight as stage one of the recovery begins. Tonight, pub, bistros and restaurants get ready to reopen, what you can and can't do from tomorrow. Almost 600,000 Australians join the unemployment line, a record monthly jump and a warning of worse to come. A nationwide manhunt ends in Western Sydney, a fugitive charged with a young mother's brutal killing. Arson attack at southwest Sydney car wreckers goes up in flames. Exclusive details, the new push to get tourists back to regional New South Wales. Almost $500 million in forgotten government cash, how to claim your share. And league referees threaten to strike over the contentious plan to revert to one on-field official.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. The countdown is on, with some lockdown restrictions to be lifted at midnight, allowing restaurants and pubs to throw open their doors and welcome back diners. Beaches and playgrounds are also reopening for recreation as we start to reboot our community and economy.
At the Star Casino, where 8,500 lost their jobs, they're back making cuts of a different kind. The sashimi in their signature restaurant Sokyo, striving to be the first in Australia to open tonight at a minute past midnight.
We need to give the community the confidence that we can do this in a safe manner.
The maximum 10 allowed still needs up to 20 staff, a guaranteed loss maker, but they're doing it for staff and customers.
You're going to be taking a bit of a haircut on this.
Yes.
This morning, as the Premier lined up to face media today,
who would you like to FaceTime with?
Of course, no FaceTime needed from tomorrow. We can finally catch up at restaurants, cafes, and now pubs and clubs.
We've ensured now that pubs and clubs fall into the same category as restaurants and cafes.
The government policy shift revealed by 7 News overnight.
We're not a government that's going to be so stubborn so as not to move forward.
Every little bit helps. At the moment, anything that we can do to get turnover through the door.
The announcement, a breakthrough in the regions where the pub is often the only restaurant in town.
Within a couple of minutes of me hearing it on the news, I had one of the locals ring up and book a table of 7.
Many large outfits say the 10-person policy makes opening unviable. No clubs will open tomorrow and just these 3 from Saturday, while smaller venues have rushed to reinvent, like Bondi's Spring Street Social, offering your own bar and band for 10.
Luckily, we've managed to sell out within the next sort of 3 weeks.
But authorities warn this will mean more outbreaks, like this Melbourne McDonald's, now a new hotspot with 8 virus victims.
The stakes are very high.
They want to keep figures low, like today. Just 4 more cases from 9,000 tests, 1 from Warrington Public School, the first affected since schools reopened.
And that school has been closed for today for the usual process of contact tracing both staff and students.
Let's go live to Chris Reason once again. Chris, the Premier is warning about the increased risk from tomorrow's changes, and they go well beyond sit-down dining.
Indeed they do. Good evening to you, Mark. The biggest change, of course, coming to home visits, now restricted to 5 people. That includes children. Outside gatherings restricted to 10. They're also going to be lifting the restrictions on the use of outdoor play equipment and also on outdoor gym equipment. Big changes for our beaches too, with Tamarama and Bronte open again for exercise on sand, and also Coogee, Clovelly and Maroubra open for everything, including sunbaking. But the most concerns, Mark, focus on our dining and drinking, and they'll be watching the data closely on that over the next 2 weeks. Mark.
Let's hope it all goes well, Chris. Thank you. The staggering number of Australians who lost their jobs last month due to the pandemic has been revealed. Nearly 600,000 people. It's taken the unemployment rate to 6.2%, up a full 1%. The Prime Minister calling it a tough day for Australia and warning it's only going to get worse.
Fronting up to the largest number of jobs lost in a month ever.
This is a tough day for Australia, a very tough day.
594,300 jobs gone in March, unemployment climbing 1% to 6.2. In a word,
devastating.
A tally of those thrown out of work and into the lines outside Centrelink as the COVID lockdown smashed the economy. The biggest hit, New South Wales, 221,000 jobs lost. Queensland, 129,000. Victoria, 127. WA, 62. And South Australia, 40,000.
These are families, these are friends, these are neighbours, these are workmates.
The number of underemployed also jumping to 1.8 million. Youth unemployment, 13.8%. The spirit of bipartisanship reaching its limit. Labor sheeting home blame.
Too many Australians lost their job in April because of a deliberate decision by the government.
A decision to exclude hundreds of thousands of casuals and entertainment workers from the JobKeeper program.
This is a program of historic proportions that is helping 6 million Australians right here, right now.
As bad as today's figures are, they're not the end of it. Scott Morrison's warning the country to brace itself for even worse news next month.
The task we have now is to reopen these businesses, to get employees back into their jobs.
That, he says, is the toughest challenge. Mark Riley, 7 News.
A row has erupted over the Queensland Government's plan to buy a stake in Virgin. Federal Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton unleashed on his home state, calling the Treasurer crazy and the Premier dangerous. But they ignored the jibes, pushing on with their controversial proposal.
Queensland's bid to bail out Virgin Airlines has turned into a war of words across the political divide.
Anastasia Palaszczuk has brought Queensland to the brink of bankruptcy, and she's now talking about buying an airline. I mean, it's dangerous.
Codenamed Operation Maroon, the plan would see the Palaszczuk government attempt to buy a stake in the collapsed airline.
I cannot understand for the life of me how people don't want to back Queensland and back Queensland jobs.
The Home Affairs Minister, though, unloading on the idea.
They can't run trains on time. How are they going to run an airline?
Peter Dutton, I thought you were talking about someone who was serious and could be taken credibly.
The row started on Twitter, Dutton saying in the middle of a crisis they want to buy an airline. It is laughable. Cameron Dick, the State Treasurer, hit back, telling the Minister just stick to cruise ships, a reference to the Ruby Princess outbreak that's claimed 22 lives. Just months out from a state election, it could be argued an offer to buy an airline that's $7 billion in the red at a time like this is a political ploy. But the Queensland government insists it's serious.
We know other states are interested in this, and we've got to fend them off as well. So I'm up for the fight.
The New South Wales government, meanwhile, staying well out of it.
At this stage, we are taking a similar position to the national government, which is allow the private sector bids to come in.
Cameron Price, 7 News.
After more than a week on the run, Ricardo Barbaro was tracked down to a Western Sydney apartment block this morning, arrested and charged over the murder of his girlfriend in Melbourne. Ellie Price was found in her home 10 days ago. Investigators believe her body may have been there for several days. Barbaro will now be extradited to Victoria.
A Victorian fugitive finally in custody and headed back to Melbourne to face a murder charge.
Did you kill Ellie?
Ricardo Barbaro had been on the run for 10 days after his 26-year-old girlfriend Ellie Price was found dead in her South Melbourne home on May 4. At midnight, police kicked in a door in Sydney's west and found their suspect.
They were wearing all black. I think they had a rifle. Had some night vision goggles.
Started calling out to this person by the name of Ricardo. Listen to what we're telling you, you won't be harmed.
A tip-off to police uncovered Barbaro's hideout here in Wentworth Point. Tactical officers found him in the penthouse, and it's alleged the 33-year-old didn't go quietly, brawling with police as they took him into custody.
I just kept hearing, thump noises all the way till 12:30 a.m. And it was just crazy.
And it was quite frightening.
The accused killer was treated in hospital for minor injuries before being locked up. This afternoon, a Sydney magistrate granted his extradition. A relief for his alleged victim's mother. Maybe now I will get some answers. He'll be driven back to Melbourne tomorrow to face a court there on Saturday. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
Firefighters have braved explosions and extreme heat after arsonists set fire to 50 cars in southwest Sydney. It happened at a car wreckers yard early this morning. Investigators are now hunting for those responsible.
a car yard burning.
Watch your hose line! Watch your hose line!
And fuel tanks exploding. At Smeaton Grange overnight, 50 cars were torched at a wreckers. More than 40 firefighters working together to get things under control and stop the flames spreading to businesses next door.
We've got a running fuel fire we can't control, and it's starting to burn through the hose lines.
It took 3 hours to put it out completely, but what was immediately obvious was that this was no accident.
Numerous fuel tanks were rupturing, LPG tanks exploding, gas cylinders exploding, and the fire was spreading very, very rapidly.
This morning, investigators moved in, finding evidence that accelerant was lit in 3 separate parts of the yard. The block is currently for sale. Police examining security video to figure out who might be behind the firebombing.
The firefighters have fought very, very courageously tonight.
At this stage, it's still early days. We're not sure whether it was done by a single person or whether it was a number of persons.
Police are now going through the owner's business dealings to figure out if anyone had a motive for this attack. He says he has no idea what any of this could be about.
Do you know it wasn't deliberately lit?
I have no idea, sorry.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
With just about everyone doing it tough thanks to the COVID restrictions, some of the state's most senior public servants are now cashing in. Last year, Gladys Berejiklian rubber-stamped huge pay rises and today defended that decision.
Church Street Mall, Parramatta's heartbeat, and right now retailers can barely find a pulse.
Times are real tough. I've never seen this before.
Peter Wynne has laid off 10 staff, and the same government burning its own budget just to help businesses survive is throwing free money at its top bureaucrats.
Well, I think everybody deserves reward for effort. The timing just doesn't seem right to me.
Simon Draper from Infrastructure is a big winner with a pay rise of $66,000. The bosses of Health, Communities and Justice and Transport, nearly $30,000 each. There are modest rises for the heads of Education and Treasury, and all 7 are now making $599,000 a year.
Those decisions were taken last year, plus we have fewer secretaries in that position. So overall, we've saved dollars.
The largest pay rise is $4,000 more than the entire base salary a registered nurse can expect to earn in their first year of work. And with nurses doing a lot of the heavy lifting right now, this sours even further the prospect their wages might be frozen.
It's important that we see our members receive the modest 2.5%.
To defend the pay rises of senior fat cats while cutting the wages of public sector employees is just not on.
Of course, we deeply appreciate what you do, but please also know the context.
Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
A truck driver has been charged over that road rage incident southwest of Sydney we showed you last night. A truck and a ute were captured on dashcam, both being driven very aggressively on the Hume Highway at Menangle on Saturday morning. A man from Roos has come forward and will face Campbelltown Court on dangerous driving charges. Police say they're closing in on the ute driver. It was announced with huge fanfare a plan to secure Sydney's water supply. But after good recent rain, we can reveal the expansion of the Kurnell desalination plant has been shelved. The decision will save on household bills.
The plan was unveiled last August, then fast-tracked in January as our dam levels dropped to 43%.
We need water. We certainly need extra supply.
But with rain lifting dam levels to 82%, the doubling of the desalination plant's output has been shelved.
Now we can take our breath. We've got to make sure we get it in the right order. We don't waste money. And we get it right.
The state government won't say how much has already been spent on planning or how much will be saved, but 7 News can reveal households will save up to $45 a year, with expansion costs not passed on.
We need to pause and look at better use of the water we've got, and the answer is recycling.
Despite fierce criticism of this facility when in opposition, the coalition now wants to build 2 new desalination plants to help secure water supplies in the Lower Hunter and Illawarra. Community consultations begun on a facility in Port Kembla, this site next to the steelworks under strong consideration.
Don't slow up. The drought might have broken, but our long-term demands have to be taken into account.
The Illawarra plant to be bigger than this $100 million proposal at Belmont near Newcastle.
We do need to make decisions about Sydney's future water supply.
And hope for more rain until then. Alex Hart, 7 News.
Bushfire victims are being promised there'll be more money to protect them next fire season. But 5 months after our catastrophic black summer, there's still plenty of suffering. On the south coast, towns are reeling and mental health is fraying, with many locals feeling abandoned.
In scores of towns like Cobargo, they're learning the road back from a bushfire is a long one.
People are not too willing to put their hand up and say they need help.
Nathan Eagles and his mum filmed their life or death drive through the Cobargo firestorm.
We got the children, we found a way out.
Today, 7 News caught up with him.
It's gut-wrenching what we've got to go through.
To see what impact $3 billion in federal and state fire relief has had here.
There's not that much help. Like, everyone's just sort of perking everyone else's spirits up.
Michelle lost her home in the blaze and since a friend to suicide.
I share a tear every day. Every day I cry.
Locals say the real clean-up is just beginning. The asbestos risk's still here.
And we'll stand shoulder to shoulder with them until the job is done.
Cobargo's Danielle Murphy famously confronted the Prime Minister in January.
We get nothing.
Today, she says, he'd get a similar reception.
I would still say he's not helping people.
Complicating the recovery in the months since the pandemic. People say they needed to hug one another, just as the coronavirus meant they couldn't.
That when the television cameras left, so did a lot of the political support.
Now, though, it might just come back. A looming by-election in the federal electorate of Eden-Monaro is about to further complicate Cobargo's recovery. Tim Lester, 7 News.
While we can't go overseas or even cross some state borders at the moment, we're all being encouraged to start planning holidays here at home. From tomorrow, a new tourism campaign will tell us it's time to love New South Wales.
It's one big tease.
So you can't travel the world right now.
That we're about to be blasted with. Places you can't go now, but can when COVID restrictions are lifted in New South Wales. Holidaying at home.
It's something we are looking at. It's not something we've said yes to yet.
But when they do, these iconic destinations are some of your options.
The resurgence of the driving holiday and people dusting off that bucket list of places they've always wanted to go to.
Closed borders means we can't stray far. Road trips, short breaks, staycations, as long as they're not out of the state. It's prompted a rethink by Destination New South Wales. Tomorrow it'll launch a new tourism recovery campaign, and it's all in the name. Love New South Wales from home.
The moment we feel comfortable about letting people back out into regional New South Wales beyond what is already permitted, we'll be doing that.
Tourism was worth $43 billion to the state last year, but it's been decimated by COVID-19. New South Wales was Australia's #1 tourism destination before 2020 hit.
New South Wales is here for you.
Even the Premier making light of the cabin fever.
I often joke with the Queensland Premier that I'll end up going to Auckland before I end up going to Brisbane.
Peter Fegan, 7 News.
Sally Barry is here now with the weather, and Sal, there was some rain about today.
Yeah, there sure was, Mark. We saw some showers to start and finish the day with the heaviest falls around the northern beaches and central coast. Things are cooling down this evening. Currently, it is 14 degrees with light southerly winds in the city. And today, the wet weather cleared around lunchtime with a burst of sunshine, and that helped temperatures reach 18 degrees. Quick check of the temperatures around the suburbs at the moment. The mercury has plunged into the mid-teens for most. Parramatta 13 degrees and Katoomba just sitting on 6 at the moment. Manly and Mona Vale picked up the highest rain totals today, around 15 millimetres in the gauges there, and some heavier falls up the coast at Pearl Beach, 17 millimetres. Now, on the satellite, most of the stormy weather is just sitting off the coast at the moment. Tomorrow, things will continue to fine up thanks to a large high-pressure system. I'll have Sydney's 7-day forecast a little later though, Mark.
We'll see you then, Sally. Thank you. A suspended P-plater has been jailed for running a red light and killing an elderly woman. Next, how long will he spend behind bars for the deadly Sylvania crash? Also, low-cost housing and an on-site school, which major Sydney hospital is set for an overhaul. The heart-stopping moment, a man is almost hit by a speeding train. Later, $440 million in unclaimed government cash. Could some of it be yours? And in sport, the NRL responds to threats of strike action over plans to go back to one referee.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realised where all
That feels especially true given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together. Hello, Angela. I have been watching you.
I came from Africa with nothing but a suitcase. My family is everything. At home, I'm a mom. At work, I'm a boss.
I got a baby. I am Big Brother, and I've chosen you.
I'll do anything to win.
How do you plan to eliminate the others?
I'll sweet talk you during the day and I'll vote you out at night. Mean, but I like it.
I am Big Brother. Who wins? You decide.
Hi, it's Brendan Nottle from the Salvos. For 140 years, we've stood with Australians in crisis. Today, as we all rise to the challenge of this heartbreaking time, the Salvos are doing all they can to ease the pain and find a way through for the people hardest hit. You can play a powerful role. If you're able, please go to salvationarmy.org.au and give to the Red Shield Appeal now. Together, we can do this.
Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
How good does it feel to know it's Plush Sofa's grand reopening with up to 50% off in showroom and online and 48 months interest-free.
Does your energy provider chip in for your internet? Dodo does. Yep, we're an energy company and an internet company, which is why you get unlimited data on our NBN 50 plan for just $60 a month when you also get electricity and gas. Switch at dodo.com.
Right now, the comfort of our home has never been more important. So it's good to know that at Fantastic Furniture, you can shop our entire range in-store or online, now with contactless delivery and click and collect services. Find your Fantastic today.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points for every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards. BP Rewards.
Or you can choose to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. A Porsche driver accused of filming and abusing 4 dead or dying police officers on a Melbourne freeway following a crash will remain behind bars. 41-year-old Richard Pusey was pulled over for allegedly drug driving and speeding before the officers were struck by a truck last month. Pusey was denied bail in a Melbourne court this morning, the magistrate finding he poses an unacceptable risk. He's facing 12 charges, including destroying evidence. The son of a former highway patrol officer who ran a red light killing an elderly woman could be out of jail in as little as 16 months. He was just a teenager when the tragedy occurred, but had already clocked up a rap sheet of traffic violations.
When Mark Portlock walked into court, he would have sensed he wouldn't be walking out.
Mark, you prepared to go to jail?
His family and friends weren't, though, when the P-plater was sentenced to a maximum 2.5 years jail. His mother, a former highway patrol officer, inconsolable.
Did you want to say anything about today's sentence?
A much-loved woman was taken from her family, friends and the community well before her time, the judge told him. That woman was 77-year-old Valda Mitchell. She had been walking to the shops in Sylvania in 2018 and was crossing the road when she was struck. Miss Mitchell had right of way. Portlock had changed lanes and run a red light. They were very dangerous decisions, which carries real risks to other road users. Tragically, that materialised.
Mark Portlock had only had his licence for a short period of time, but his record was of concern to the judge. He'd been caught going 30 kilometres over the speed limit several times and had been pulled over for disobeying road signs.
It goes through my head every day. If I could swap places, I would, he sobbed. I'm truly sorry from the bottom of my heart. Now 21, Portlock will be eligible for parole next year. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
The US President is now openly disagreeing with his top medical advisor, disputing Dr. Anthony Fauci's warning that coronavirus is not under control and it's too early to reopen.
I was surprised by his answer, actually, because, it's just, to me, it's not an acceptable answer.
It comes as America's central bank, the Federal Reserve, called for additional stimulus to avoid a long-lasting recession. Trying to save a few minutes almost cost this pedestrian his life. He forced his way through closed barriers into the path of an oncoming train that missed him by just a whisker. Police released the video, hoping to frighten others from making the same choice. Australia is mourning the death of a friend tonight. The mayor of Villers-Bretonneux, the small French town liberated by our Anzacs in World War I, has died of coronavirus. Patrick Simon was awarded an honorary Order of Australia for his determination that the sacrifice of 1,300 Australian lives there never be forgotten. The Royal North Shore Hospital precinct will be transformed, with coronavirus inspiring a rethink on the way hospital staff live and work. 7 News has been given a first look at the plan, which includes low-cost housing for essential workers and a new primary school.
A hospital metropolis, the state government's vision for the future of St Leonard's, with health at its heart.
A development that keeps the Royal North Shore Hospital family working and living and commuting together.
The new Herbert Street precinct includes essential worker housing, a tower of 500 apartments, 75% of them set aside as affordable rentals for frontline hospital staff.
One of the big challenges we have is being able to afford rent in Sydney and work in key jobs within our health system.
What this development gives us is some additional services to support our clinical staff and our non-clinical staff.
Like a medical hotel and a high-tech, high-rise primary school.
It'll be a really interesting innovation for us to look at the way that we can best use land in these really dense areas.
For doctors weighing in on the design, accessibility was key. The hospital connected to the Crow's Nest Metro via a footbridge. A sprawling health precinct, a far cry from this original hospital built back in 1902. These heritage buildings set to be restored as part of the transformation. Construction and any disruption will begin after COVID-19. Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
With unemployment jumping again, many Australians are looking for a career change to prepare for life after corona. Next, how to future-proof your job. The industry set to boom on the other side of this crisis. A man jailed for stabbing his pregnant girlfriend to death wins a retrial. Was he framed by police? A major cybersecurity breach at Service New South Wales. Are your details at risk? And Britain's economic sledgehammer, what a major UK recession may mean for us. That's next.
David, I'm assigning you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mum. Pleasure to meet you, Mum.
I'm late for a meeting. She's got an agenda to heighten fear, to seize power. I don't need you to vote for me, only to protect me.
These plots do not always arise from outside.
She's got you wrapped around her finger. This is a very dangerous politician. There's been an inside man all along.
Looks like the Home Secretary couldn't be in safer hands.
The must-see event, Bodyguard, Wednesday on 7.
Hey everybody, I'm Courtney Ralston and I'm super excited to be sharing with you one of my favourite sweet treats, a strawberry galette, bursting with rustic charm and sweet, jammy strawberries. And this pastry is a dead set winner. You can use it for sweet or for savoury, and we're going to start with 185 grams of plain flour going into the food processor. I've got 120 grams of butter. I'm also going in with a pinch of sea salt with about half a teaspoon of baking powder. And we're just going to give this a blitz until it resembles breadcrumbs. I've got 90 grams of cream cheese. I'm going to blitz again. So I'm going in with a tablespoon of cream, and we're just going to blitz this one last time until it forms a nice ball in our mixing bowl. Just tip this out, wrap it up nice and tight so no air can get in there. Okay, pastry has had 2 hours in the fridge. You can see it's gone nice and firm. So we can roll this out now. And I don't have a rolling pin. Let me go and see what I can find. No rolling pin. No worries, I found something that will do the job. All right, we just need to get this pastry onto a tray. So in here I've got a mixture of 50 grams of almond meal, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 50 grams of caster sugar, and a tablespoon of plain flour. And this is going to help keep a nice golden bottom on our pastry. I've got 500 grams of strawberries here, and we just need to chop them. I've also got here a mixture of caster sugar, and there's a little bit of corn flour in here, and this is going to help make a really nice thick sauce with the strawberries and about a tablespoon of orange zest. These are ready to go into our tart. All we need to do is fold up the outside edge that we've left here. I just want to brush some egg around the outside. That's your last one. Final steps, I've got some demerara sugar that we're just going to sprinkle onto the outside. All right, she's ready for the oven. I've got my oven set at 200 degrees. This is going to take around 40 minutes. Have a look at it. So let's slide it off. Let's cut a nice, generous wedge out. I'm going on with a nice dollop of vanilla bean yogurt. Time to dig in. Still hot, and that's how you make my delicious strawberry galette. There's never been a better time to cook food that makes you happy than right now, and this strawberry galette is one big slice of joy.
In breaking news, it's the end of an era for one of the city's best-known landmarks. George Street Cinema will be knocked down and replaced by a towering skyscraper set to change the skyline of Sydney. Serena Andaloro joins me now. Serena, the development was given the green light just minutes ago.
Yes, Mark, Mirvac representatives have just emerged from a meeting with the Central Sydney Planning Committee. It has approved the 270-metre skyscraper, which is set to be Sydney's tallest residential tower. It will include more than 500 apartments, retail space, a rooftop restaurant and a conferencing centre, but it means the curtains will close on Sydney's famous George Street Cinemas, which opened back in 1976. It will be replaced by a much smaller boutique cinema. Mark?
OK, Serena, thank you. With unemployment at 6.2%, many are wondering what they'll do for a living in a post-pandemic world. Some will retain or recover their old jobs, others will retrain. Experts saying it's time for the lucky country to become the smart country.
They've had challenges from COVID, but hairdressers are confident they'll be around for a while yet. People will always want a good haircut.
We cannot be replaced. People need their hair done. They like to look good. It's good for their morale.
But in a retail sector where job ads have halved, Seek's job ads for legal, HR, admin, sport and rec are down as much as 70%. Less affected, mining, healthcare, manufacturing, trades and IT.
An increase in demand for software engineers, change managers, project engineers.
The retail sector may shift to online sales, meaning fewer shop assistants but more warehouse and delivery workers. Strong job growth is tipped in the health sector and in aged care, especially home visits.
The jobs that will thrive are those that are going back to basics. So the police force, the nurses, teachers.
Demand for tradies should grow, assuming the building sector avoids a slump, and coronavirus has exposed our need for more manufacturing.
This is definitely a watch this space category.
COVID-19 has forced more than a third of Australia's entire workforce to work from home, over 60% who would normally go to an office. The question now is, how many will return? Home-based employment will need platforms to work off, adding to the expected surge in jobs in the IT sector. Chris Marr, 7 News.
A man who spent 13 years in jail for murdering his pregnant partner has won a major legal victory, a new trial with his conviction set aside. Scott Ostick was given a life sentence for stabbing Stacey Thorne to death when she was 22 weeks pregnant. A 7 News investigation raised serious questions about the conviction, and Ostick's legal team claimed he was framed, suggesting WA police planted evidence, including a bloody cigarette packet and a knife, which a UK forensic expert doubted was even the murder weapon. Ostick is thought to be applying for bail until a retrial can begin. There are fears the personal information of thousands of Service New South Wales customers has been compromised after the email accounts of staff there were hacked. The cyber attack happened 3 weeks ago, but the community is only being told now.
It was a sophisticated attack. 47 Service New South Wales email accounts targeted.
There'd be a rich amount of data that they could have here, including names, addresses, dates of birth, enough information for them to steal people's identities.
The data collected, information gathered in phone calls or in over-the-counter transactions.
The indications are that the attack has been originated from overseas.
State government says the impact of the breach is not clear, with the targeted employees located all over New South Wales, meaning the personal information of potentially thousands of customers has been stolen.
I am astounded that this breach occurred on the 22nd of April. The Premier had every opportunity to tell the community.
And yet the attack was only referred to police yesterday.
Cyber criminals have taken advantage of the fact that we are in lockdown.
More than 4,900 incidents of attempted fraud have been reported to New South Wales Police over the past 3 months, and today, in response, an additional 8 police officers were added to State Crime's Cybercrime Unit.
The increase in this sort of criminal activity is quite disgusting. It's no different to people spitting on the police. You're actually spitting on vulnerable people.
Laura Banks, 7 News.
The British economy has shrunk at a record rate, a drop much sharper than the GFC. Economists believe the recession there will get worse and will be complicated by Brexit.
As thousands across England returned to work and took advantage of a slight easing of restrictions, a warning.
It is now very likely that the UK will face a significant recession this year.
The 5th biggest economy in the world hit by an economic sledgehammer on par with the GFC. That downturn lasted 18 months. This one has hit in just weeks. The London Stock Exchange dropped with fears the easing of the lockdown will lead to a second wave of the virus.
We cannot now go back to square one. We can't risk a second outbreak.
Complicating the situation for many British businesses, Brexit. It's still due to happen at the end of the year. Some believe the forecast Brexit-related economic downturn will be overwhelmed by the pandemic. Others believe it is now the worst time to split from the EU.
We don't know what damage the pandemic is going to do.
What impact does that have on the broader global economy for trading partner nations like Australia?
It's going to damage exports from other countries if countries like the UK have a much more severe decline than elsewhere. At the margin, something that will be damaging to Australia, especially if it's followed by other European countries which have similar profiles to the UK.
With warnings of more bad economic news to come. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Many of us are having trouble sleeping during these unsettling times, and it's not just adults. Next, help for parents to help your children get a better night's rest. Also trouble brewing, the new link between coffee and arthritis. How to claim your share of hundreds of millions of dollars in forgotten government cash.
Soon in sport, our exclusive chat with Ricky Ponting, his fears for the future of Cricket Australia. And we saw a few showers today, but it won't last long. I'll have Sydney's 7-day forecast soon.
You've been gone 6 years.
Do you recall anything from your time in captivity?
No.
Your DNA was found on the body.
You think I put myself in the tank?
Castle Stana Katic in the riveting new series, Absentia, starts Tuesday on 7.
I think at my stage of life, I've just become a grandmother. All of a sudden you realise, it really doesn't matter if I won that match, but gee, it really matters if I had this bowel test. The screening test starts when you're 50. It goes through when you're 74. It's not painful, it's not invasive, it's not any of those things. You just have to prioritise it. You put it at the top of the list. Don't wait until you're 2 sets to love down. You want to be here to enjoy all that life has to offer. Go ahead, do the test.
At Apia, we're all about possibilities. So if you're driving less, we offer comprehensive motor insurance with a drive less, pay less discount. Apia, get set, go. Call 13 50 50.
Okay, let's start something. Let's learn. Let's do a degree and study online. So there's less of this and more of this. Let's do this with Swinburne Online.
Now more than ever, we know what families are going through. So this week you can pick up lots of specials like Rexona Advanced Deodorant 220ml, now just $3.75 each. That's half price. We want you to always get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
Going crazy stuck at home? Want help to cook up some fun? Why not get your Hungry Jack's flame-grilled favourites delivered now with Uber Eats or Menulog? With easier online ordering, the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
Dad!
Oh, sorry. It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
At Apia, we're all about possibilities. So if you're driving less, we offer comprehensive motor insurance with a drive less, pay less discount. Apia, get set, go. Call 13 50 50.
When a cold disturbs your family's sleep, Vicks Vapor Rub relieves cough, nasal congestion, muscle aches and pains. They sleep, you sleep. Vicks Vapor Rub relieves 4 cough and cold symptoms.
To finance now, and the ASX 200 took a sharp dive on the back of stark warnings about the US economy. The big banks took a hit, but Shaver Shop jumped 30% after recording a sales increase as people turn to DIY grooming. And one Aussie dollar is buying just shy of 65 US cents. Fuel prices are easing slightly. The average for unleaded is $1.13.5 a litre tonight, but we found it for just 92.8 cents in Liverpool. The Premier says there's an upside to the gloomy forecasts of a Sydney property price slump. The Commonwealth Bank has warned a prolonged downturn could see 32% fall, but Gladys Berejiklian says there could be an opportunity for those who've saved a deposit.
So for those who want to get into the market for the first time, it will be a buyer's market in the next little while.
This weekend will be the second when real estate agents are allowed to open homes for inspection. Drinking too much coffee can cause poor health, according to new research from the University of South Australia. The study of more than 300,000 people has linked excess coffee consumption to osteoarthritis and obesity. Researchers found those with lower blood pressure are more likely to crave that extra hit of caffeine. It's recommended you drink no more than 6 cups of coffee a day. Sleep, it's something you don't pay a lot of attention to until you're not getting enough. Parents of younger children will know it's highly prized. New advice is now at hand to help your family get more shut-eye.
When home has become school and the backyard the playground, the pandemic is throwing little lives out of kilter and sleep is suffering.
They're more likely to ask, can we watch another movie? Can we watch more TV? Maybe play up a little bit.
While experts warn the most common sleep problems in children are behavioural in origin, anxiety is the main cause of difficulties falling asleep.
What we're noticing clinically is that we are seeing more families who are struggling with sleep at the moment.
Sleep and rest obviously leads to better behaviour from the parents as well, not just the children.
Ensuring children have a cool, dark room is a good start. Lights should be dimmed an hour before bedtime and screens removed 2 hours before.
If we want to start tackling sleep problems with our children, we really need to make sure that we've got the right environment and the right lifestyle ready to go.
Cola and dark chocolate are out. Children should be put to sleep in their own bed and parents should avoid using bedrooms for time out.
The more sleep we're getting, the less on edge we are, so it's kind of like a nice cycle.
To help during COVID-19, Amanda has developed a 6-week online program to arm parents with better sleep strategies.
And to sort of start feeling confident in being able to help their child with their sleep at night.
And rest easy themselves. For more details, head to our Facebook page, Kendall Gilding, 7 News.
With money tight as the pandemic puts pressure on household budgets, many could be in line for a windfall from the state government. Almost $500 million in unclaimed money. We'll tell you how to cash in. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport, and Mel, the NRL's return to one referee is now getting ugly.
It is, Fergo. Strike action is on the cards while Commission Chairman Peter V'landys is standing firm. We'll hear from both sides next. Plus, breaking news on anti-vaxxer Bryce Cartwright. A decision has been made on whether he's free to train and play. And how Ricky Ponting would revamp the Big Bash to make it the best in the world.
In the transformation of the year,
Mum put her life on hold for me.
how do you repay a lifetime of love?
This is the one opportunity I have to give back to her.
The heartwarming transformation that will bring Jamie to tears.
I can't thank you enough for what you've done.
When she comes home, a mother's dream comes true.
This is a house of our dreams.
House Rules, Sunday at 7 on 7.
Now more than ever, we know what families are going through. So this week, you can pick up a Steggles Family Roast Whole Chicken from the meat department. Now just $2.90 a kilo. Save $2.60 a kilo. We want you to always get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm gonna give you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey, hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
As credit to you, here's up to $120 credit from us. Add any selected month-to-month mobile plan with Vodafone and get the credit you deserve over 12 months. Find out more at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
When your hair's not weighed down, you can do the day. Introducing new Pantene 0% silicone. Unlike silicone found in ordinary shampoos, new Pantene has nourishing lipids. The difference is clear. New Pantene 0% silicone formula gives you lightweight, smooth hair that lasts through to the next day. Do 0% silicone. Do new Pantene.
Hi, I'm Jo from Westpac. We know that what you want from your home loan changes over time. That's why we're here, to give you the best of both worlds with the option to split your home loan. Lock in certainty with part of your home loan under a historically low fixed interest rate. Then you'll know exactly how much you'll be repaying each month. Keep the other portion under a variable rate, giving you flexibility to make extra repayments to pay off your home sooner. For more information, search Westpac Split Loan.
The new Skoda Kodiaq RS should never look like that. With a powerful bi-turbocharged engine, this is performance that's not for show. Skoda, simply clever.
We're pregnant!
Did someone say KFC?
The Sports Report brought to you by KFC. Get your KFC contact-free today.
Welcome back. ARL Commission Chairman Peter V'landys has come out swinging over suggestions there was no consultation with referees over the plan to revert to one on-field official. The Referees Union has lodged a complaint with the Fair Work Commission, but V'landys says it's baseless.
Today we got a glimpse of a fired-up Peter V'landys over the Referees Union's criticism of plans to go back to one referee.
Totally ludicrous, and I don't think his confrontational and misleading approach is helping his association. We've done nothing wrong.
The Commission signed off on the plan last night, along with the rule to give attacking teams 6 more tackles for ruck infringements aimed at eliminating the wrestle.
The whole concept of a one referee model was never, ever raised with us prior to 4:30 last Friday afternoon.
The consultation is required once a definite decision is made. We have consulted before the decision was made.
The union's complaint will be heard by the Fair Work Commission tomorrow. Strike action is also a possibility.
Strike is a long, long way away, and we hope that we don't get there.
The whole aim of this is to give the fans what they want. They want open, free football where it's not slowed down in the ruck, there isn't the wrestle.
I really love the game the way it is, but
you know, they've made the change now and we've got to go with it.
The decision's been made, so I'm over it now. I just want to get on with it.
Coaches are really keen to get their hands on the draw. The first few rounds of the restart are due to be released tomorrow. Titans centre Brian Kelly returned to training today after agreeing to have the flu vaccination. And 7 News can exclusively reveal Bryce Cartwright is free to play in the NRL. He's been granted a medical exemption to not receive the needle. Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel for Kieran Foran and Bulldogs fans after his nightmare run of injuries. The Kiwi international says his injured shoulder is coping well with contact training and he's on track to line up for the Dogs as soon as the season resumes.
I'm probably in some of the best physical shape I've been in 3 or 4 years.
And the Storm trained at their home base in Melbourne this morning for the first time since COVID-19 restrictions were eased. Former Australian captain Ricky Ponting concedes it would be catastrophic if India is unable to tour here this summer. As Cricket Australia scrambles to avoid a $300 million financial hit, there are growing fears the home T20 World Cup in October anyway is already a lost cause.
A bleak warning from our most respected cricket voice about the T20 World Cup in October.
It's probably unlikely, I think, that will happen, but for the game's sake and certainly for Cricket Australia's sake, hopefully it does happen. I mean, Cricket Australia are in a world of hurt.
And that might only be the start of the pain. If the health crisis stops Virat Kohli's Indian team from touring, it would mean a crippling financial hit of up to $300 million.
It would be catastrophic, really, for Australian cricket if India didn't come. Fantastic if it happens and catastrophic if it doesn't.
One scenario where COVID-19 could work in the governing body's favour is the Big Bash. There's renewed hope the world's leading short-form players could be lured down under to join our Aussie stars.
Let's get Smith and Warner and Cummins and Stark and these guys playing more games in the Big Bash. If you could get those guys playing with the best overseas players available playing in the Big Bash at the one time, then you've got the best product.
Ponting should have been coaching the Delhi Capitals in the IPL right now, but coronavirus put a stop to that. Instead, he and his wife are homeschooling their 3 young children.
I forgot how good I was at maths, actually. I've actually been pretty good at picking up on where I left off in year 10 at Brooks High School. So
his kids are in good hands. Well, Daniel Ricciardo is set to leave Renault at the end of the Formula One season to link with McLaren. While Supercars legend Craig Lowndes struggled on debut last night, one of the rising stars of F1 took centre stage in the E-Series. Lando Norris became the first international driver to win a race, then showed off some Aussie slang.
No, with Australian teammates, the most valuable thing I've learned out of all of this is yeah.
There was the usual array of spectacular stacks. Scott McLaughlin leads the series with 4 rounds to go. I tell you what, Fergo, we really get a bad rap with that. Yeah, nah, a lot of people back him up on that as well.
You're not taking the Aussie lingo seriously, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Yeah, more respect.
Yeah, I demand it.
Good on you, Mel. Thank you. At a time when every dollar counts, we can reveal there's nearly $500 million of unclaimed money just waiting for rightful owners to step forward. From share dividends to refunds, work entitlements and other sources, individuals can claim hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars with just a few clicks online.
Mark Bernard purchased shares in David Jones in the early 1990s, then moved overseas, only recently collecting his unclaimed dividends.
It was $1,700, so it was quite a little windfall.
From shares, trust accounts and refunds to commissions, deceased estates and many other sources, New South Wales Revenue is holding $442 million in unclaimed money.
People have changed jobs, changed states, changed circumstances. Maybe they've got married and forgotten about an account.
Here's where the unclaimed money should go. $56.2 million to claimants in the city and eastern suburbs, $34.7 million in Western Sydney, $31.4 million is owed in North Sydney and nearly $10 million in southern Sydney, with millions more owed in Newcastle, the Central Coast, Wollongong and areas throughout the state. On average, the amount of money claimed is between $50 and $100, but in many cases it's a lot more. By law, the government must hold on to this cash until it is claimed. So they've coordinated with the various agencies to make it simpler for you to do just that. If your name registers unclaimed money, you just need to verify you are the rightful owner.
Jump onto the website, fill in your name and address details, and if you've got something, it just pops up. It takes literally 5 seconds, and the paperwork is a cinch.
Check our website for all the links to every state and national source of unclaimed money. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Sally's back now, and Sal, have we seen the last of the wet weather?
Well, Mark, we could see a few more coastal showers tonight and some storms as well. I'll have details with the full forecast next.
Hello. Tonight on the latest from 7 News, a retrial ordered in one of Australia's most notorious murder cases. The family of accused killer Scott Ostick joins me exclusively tonight. And he's Australia's anti-Jamie Oliver. The unconventional cook who has become an unlikely celebrity thanks to COVID-19. Those stories and every breaking development tonight, 10:45, the latest from 7 News.
Cameron Diaz thought she'd met Mr. Right.
I'm his wife.
They're teaming up to take him down. The Other Woman, tonight on 7.
Right now, businesses are facing their toughest challenges. Get advice and inspiration from other local businesses on cash flow, marketing and managing staff. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
Hair can be really annoying when it grows in unsightly places. But the real problem is when you can't get hair where you'd really like it. Now, with Advanced Hair Studios Hair Fusion, you can have the hair you want where you want it. Call now.
Just like I did.
Hi, Peter. What can I get you?
Just some beef mince, please.
Just some beef mince. Tell me, was Bradman just a cricketer, Peter?
Don Bradman was the greatest.
I hear you, Bill.
Did Kate just do a spot of telly?
And I suppose your mum Denise makes just a bolognese.
Peter, Mum. Okay, I'll have some beef mince, please.
Great choice. Because
our beef's the greatest meat
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. The more you spend on 60 months interest-free, the greater the value of the bonus gift card. Shop for laptops, TVs, fridges, ovens, lounges, beds, flooring, bath vanities and so much more. Shop in our spacious stores or online. We're practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. Get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card valued at up to $500 now at Harvey Norman. Hurry, offer ends Tuesday.
Go!
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
The Australian government is working hard to keep businesses in business and Australians in jobs. That's why we've introduced the JobKeeper payment. If you're a business severely impacted by the coronavirus, you'll receive a fortnightly payment of $1,500 for each eligible employee to cover their wages. For employees, it will allow millions of Australians to keep their job, including those who've been stood down. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au, authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
He's a complete stranger when he walks into town.
I don't know the best way to say this.
But for one of them, he will be anything but a stranger.
I'm your dad.
Coming up next, Cameron Daddo joins Home and Away on 7.
This weather report brought to you by La Trobe Financial. Make your money work harder.
Tonight, 7 News headlines. Restaurants are now pubs on a slow restart from midnight, allowing 10 diners per venue. Coogee, Clovelly and Maroubra to reopen for sunbathers tomorrow, but Bondi, Bronte and Tamarama remain swim and go only. Australia's unemployment on track to hit 10%, with 600,000 losing their jobs last month. And we can't head overseas, but a new campaign will urge travellers to start planning a holiday in New South Wales instead. Now, with the latest on Sydney's weather, here's Sally.
Thank you, Mark. Well, we saw a burst of wet weather today across the city, although the heaviest falls were along the northern beaches. Today, though, we reached a top of 18 degrees around lunchtime after those showers and the cloud just cleared away, which allowed that sun to briefly come out and warm us up. Across the suburbs, we saw temperatures in the high teens for most areas. Manly also picked up around 15 millimetres in the gauges with that rain this morning, While on the satellite, the bulk of storms are just sitting mainly offshore at the moment, although southerly winds are just cruising along the coastlines, and that's just feeding a few showers into this evening. Apart from that, though, a high is going to keep us very clear into tomorrow, especially across the southern parts of New South Wales. It'll also mean we'll see clear nighttime skies, so we'll wake up to very chilly starts, maybe even a touch of frost and fog as well for that lower half of the state. Around the capitals for our Friday, Brisbane heading for a sunny one, 24 degrees, dropping to 0 in Canberra, 15 degrees with some frost expected tomorrow. A very chilly start in Melbourne, 5 degrees there tomorrow, then warming up to 16. 16 also in Hobart, 17 degrees in Adelaide. It'll be sunny and warm over in Perth, though, with a top of 24 degrees and maybe a touch of fog tomorrow morning. Across New South Wales, plenty of sunshine is the story, dropping to 0 degrees in Bathurst, while we'll see just a few showers and storms in the northeastern corner around Byron and Coffs, but the falls won't be too heavy. Should be mostly fine tomorrow across Sydney suburbs, around 3 millimetres forecast. The bulk of that really is going to be along the shorelines for the coastal suburbs, tops of 18 degrees for Parramatta and Liverpool and 19 degrees expected at Campbelltown. On the water tomorrow, southwesterly winds gusting up to 20 knots on a 2-metre swell. The city tonight will be fairly cool though, 10 degrees, heading for a top of 19 tomorrow with a few showers expected. Looking ahead, the weekend should be mostly fine. Showers should clear from the city on Saturday. We're heading for tops of 21 degrees. Sunday should be mostly fine, 21 as well. Sunshine making a bit of a comeback into next week. 21 degrees on Monday, 22 on Tuesday, and then tops of 23 degrees expected towards the end of the week. So a quick dose of wet weather marked today and tomorrow, but then it should be clear skies ahead.
Should be good. Good on yourself. Thank you. That is 7 News for this Thursday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.
They need to check again. Sometimes the baby's really hard